But let's begin along the U.S.-Mexico border, where today President Biden is expected to sign an executive order that will restrict asylum processing there. The action will allow officials to turn away migrants that enter the U.S. illegally without hearing their asylum claims. It's the administration's most aggressive move yet to curb illegal crossings.
So our Weijia Jiang is at the White House with the details on this. Weijia, what do you know?
Good morning, Anne-Marie and Vlad. Good morning to everybody. Well, you guys know that this is already a very politically charged issue, and it always has been. And now Republicans are pouncing on the increase of the number of migrants that have been processed at and in between ports of entry along the southern border in recent years. But Democrats are blaming Senate Republicans for refusing to do something about it. And that is why President Biden is trying to take action on his own.
It's long past time to act.
At the U.S.-Mexico border earlier this year, President Biden urged Congress to pass a border security bill.
They desperately need more resources, need more agents, more officers, more judges, more equipment in order to secure our border.
But last month, Senate Republicans rejected the measure, just as they did in February, under pressure from former President Donald Trump. Biden's new executive order will allow U.S. immigration officials to deport migrants without processing their asylum claims when the number of illegal border crossings surpasses a specific threshold. Sources tell CBS News that number is likely 2,500 a day, which means it would likely be activated immediately. In May, Border Patrol recorded an average of 3,800 crossings daily. House Speaker Mike Johnson says Biden's action does not go far enough.
It's too little, too late. Now he's trying to desperately show the American people somehow that he wants to address the issue that he himself created.
Former acting director of ICE, John Sandweg, says Biden's order will help.
These administrative actions are not going to solve the situation at the border. They will make a big difference. They will bring a lot of order to the border.
And serve a political purpose, with immigration a top campaign issue among voters.
Just the act of issuing this administrative action gives the president another talking point in upcoming debates.
The mayors of some border communities have been invited here to the White House for the president's expected announcement and signing of this executive order, which is likely going to be challenged in court because, Anne-Marie, nearly all of Biden's immigration policies have led to a lawsuit.
So no surprise, the Trump campaign came out with a very critical statement. But one of the things that they brought up in the statement was that minors are exempt from Biden's new policy. Do we know anything more about how children would be treated under this policy?
Well, the Trump campaign is correct in that they would not be turned away if they are unaccompanied minors. They would not be refused in the same way that adults would be. And that is because they are minors. And, you know, the Trump campaign also claims that if Biden really wanted to shut down the border, he could do so with a swipe of the pen. But White House officials want to stress that that is not their intention. They are not trying to close or shut down the border, but there has to be some order, which is why this new EO is not going to be triggered until there are 2,500 or more daily crossings a day. But there are boundaries, and one of those is when you're talking about kids. Where would they go, Anne-Marie, you know, to be forced back into the country, trying to make that journey again by themselves, and that is why they will be held here and processed.
Okay, Weijia, thank you.